Hey guys, what's going on? It's your man Gerard Kenneth. So just real quick, I wanted to share something. My fiance said she doesn't like this sweater. That's not what I was going to talk about, but my fiance says she doesn't like this sweater because she just doesn't like it. My coworker said that I look like an August Alsina entanglement starter pack. You should have saw when I had my hair up, when I had my little afro puff up. Shout out to the fiance. She just gave me the Shamar Moore straight backs. I call it the Shamar Moore's because in the movie he had the straight backs. Anyways, let's focus. So I came across this post, and of course it's on Loom for those who are watching on other different social media like outlets or whatnot. And but for Loom, you know, if you guys don't have Loom, if you're an artist and you're an artist, you're a producer or whatnot, get Loom, especially if you have an iPhone. If you have an iPad, it's pretty much kind of like IG, but for music lovers only. So you get to actually support one another. And I was talking about how, you know, this clout chasing is everywhere. People want to be on a winning team. There's so many things I could say. Like a really good friend of mine, he's actually a best friend of mine as well. Him and we had talked, and I actually sent him my remix for You to Love with Neo and Jeremiah, and he cried. He's like, "Man, I'm crying right now." And I was like, "Why?" He was like, "Cause I don't think people are gonna really like this." Like, I'm paraphrasing. He said, I don't know how many people are gonna really appreciate music like this." He said, "This is really good. And this is just like the lyrics, the tone, all that good stuff." He said, "Bro, this is really good." But then it goes to what Jay Valentine was saying, right? If you don't know who Jay Valentine is, he came out in the early 2000s. I was still in high school. This is around like the Keisha Cole era, Kanye's, you know what I'm saying? That's when we really start hearing more people from that time, from the Midwest, and, you know what I'm saying, West Coast, especially with R&B. I look at R&B now, and I'm like, man, there's a lot of R&B artists really from Cali. And I was like, I should have moved to Cali. But we started seeing this slow emergence of R&B artists from Cali, and I was like, I didn't catch it until it was too late. But in any case, what I wanted to say was, I was watching a Jay Valentine live, and he was talking about how music, or rather good music, is subjective. And for me personally, it really broke my heart to hear that, because I knew he was right. I mean, think about it. Think about how many artists, and the other thing that we're not paying attention to is somebody is telling us to like this song. Even if we think it's trash, somebody is constantly playing it on the radio and it's growing on us. So now we're like, oh, I like this song. You know what I'm saying? This song is dope. It's cool. I like it. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, yo, and it makes me think of the Chris Rock film, Pootie Tang, when he was zippy the tie, zippy the day, and then it's like we hear music like that, and we didn't know. I personally, I think that Chris Rock is low key a prophet. I think that Dave Chappelle is a prophet. I think that Cat Williams is a prophet as well. You know what I'm saying? They're just using their gift. The scripture says that your gifts are without repentance. So they actually probably have that mantle. They just ain't actually like really walking in it. But they still have the gift. They do it through comedy. You know what I'm saying? And I believe that God uses them any way that he sees fit, and he gives them stuff, gives them warning, educates people. Isn't that what prophets do? The only difference between them and the prophets is that prophets is like, yo, I'm gonna curse you. Or it's not gonna rain anymore. Or a bunch of bears are just gonna eat you alive because you made fun of me. No, instead they'll eat you alive by clowning you. Okay? But that's just my personal opinion. It's just a thought, because anyways, for those who don't believe in that, disregard, I just went on a rant. But what Jay Valentine said was, music, or good music, is really subjective. And in one perspective, we have to look at the state of R&B for us as black people. We really need to think about what the different things that transitioned between how we talked about love versus how we really don't talk about love. We're usually like, man, F love, and it's like, but you're an R&B artist. I get rhythm and blues. The blues, you talk about the blues, But we know that it wasn't all just about the blues. It was like, yo, I'm in love with this chick. We're growing together, or sisters, I gotta be with this dude. Now it's just like, you broke my heart, you broke my heart, you broke my heart. F love, F love, F love, F love, F love. And I'm just like, what? And then you got other people that really can't sing, or that are making garbage lyrics. And again, it goes back to it being subjective, because we may think it's garbage. Somebody else may be like, yo, that's dope. And you're like, it's almost like, what is it I want to call it? It's almost like critical thinking, critical thinking, or like reading comprehension, dealing with reading comprehension. So you got critical thinking, reading comprehension, right? So that's just something to deeply consider, even in the realm of music or whatever genre that you're writing from. Because music, in one perspective, music is just music. But when we start including genres, now we're starting to include cultures, right? So if music is just music, then it is what it is. But if you say, oh, I love salsa, we clearly know that that's not R&B, right? For example, I love salsa. That's clearly not R&B, but we do understand that there are they have different things. Salsa is just a blend of different styles of music, right? You got your bomba, you got your plena, it's a little bit of guanaco, you know what I'm saying, that stuff. And then it's a touch of jazz, actually a lot of jazz, actually, and we understand that jazz actually came from Louisiana, which is a bunch of black people, African Americans created jazz. So, and of course, salsa was actually created here in the States, but it was by people that migrated here from different countries, from Cuba, from the Dominican Republic, from Puerto Rico, and watch this, even from Mexico, right? Just something to think about. The cha-cha-cha, all that stuff is just a blend of food, a blend of vegetables, and this, that, this, and the third, and now we have it called salsa. Salsa is actually a sauce. So in English, we would call it, yo, that's the sauce. I love sauce. It's just a thought. But we understand that when we listen to that music, that's a different genre, because now we're labeling that style of music a genre. We're giving it a genre. So now we understand that it's a cultural thing, right? So if we say R&B, it's like, well, what do? We primarily think of R&B, at least for us, like in our 30s. Usually when we thought of R&B, we thought about like the Luther Vandross, the Anita Bakers, and then going forward to, you know what I'm saying, the Freddie Jacksons, the New Editions, the Boyz II Men, the BBDs, the Tony Braxtons, and then going into like my era for the most part, like the neo soul. That's actually R&B too, if you really think about it. It's actually R&B as well. So you got that. When we think of hip hop, we'll go back to like the Furious Five, you know what I'm saying? The different DJs. Man, there's so many different, the LL Cool J's, the Commons, the Talib Kweli's, the Jay-Z's, right? The MC Lights, the Latifahs, the Little Kims, the Foxies, you know what I mean? The Vitas, what happened to Vita? You know what I'm saying? These type of chicks, the Salt and Peppers. I forgot the name of the group of the chicks that did Supersonic, and of course I mentioned Roxanne Shante. So, but it went back. So anyways, we got all different things. And that's a cultural thing. We understand that it was just a mix of African Americans, Caribbeans, and Latinos that actually created hip hop, in case people didn't know that. But for us, like here in the States, it was a subculture, but the music was subjective, because popular American music was like, what is this? We don't like it. Now hip hop is like all over the world. Technically R&B is like pretty much about to be all over the world because of hip hop. Even though R&B, right, for the most part in one perspective came first, then you have hip hop, right? But hip hop is like global. Hip hop is pretty much global. R&B is in soup, but it's because in one perspective, hip hop was like the redheaded stepchild, and now hip hop is getting way more love than we expected. And so R&B is in soup, so it's like I gotta do different things like that. But it's all subjective. And so now it goes back to the old head in reference to her being, technically speaking, she's a pioneer in hip hop. And so she was like, yo, she basically said, don't rap. I still rap, so I'm gonna actually post my video on Loom, or my song on Loom, my remix of Gospel Yanka. If y'all feel it, y'all don't. If you know, it is what it is. Music is subjective. So she was like, yo, like, you should stick to singing. She's like, Gerard, you're a phenomenal singer. Stick to that. But I'm like, I'm a writer. I started out doing poetry. I've been singing since I was 4 years old, right? Technically, I wrote my first song at 9, but I didn't write like an official song until I was like 13. I did poetry. And a good friend of mine, we'll call him Azariah, he was like, we grew up. He's one of my childhood friends. It's still a really good friend of mine. He's the best friend of mine as well. And so he was just like, yo, he looked at my poetry and was like, yo, these could be songs. So they're just poems. For me, it's like I can write anything. Doggone, I could probably write a country song if I wanted to, because it's poetry, right? I sing it a certain way, it's poetry. So, but it's subjective. And so when Jay Valentine said that, it made me think about all my own personal experiences, even in church. I'm still in church. It was just subjective. People like to hear certain things. And then the other thing he said was, it usually takes one person to say yes. I'm talking about a person that got clout. Like they got power position, they hear you, and they just like, you know what? Yes. When everybody else said no, that one person's gonna say yes. And I think that's a God thing. But then you got people like Chance the Rapper that was like, man, bump you, I'm finna do my own thing. And then you got a million people saying yes because they actually support that cat. Or you got a team of people saying yes and like, yo, we believe in you, we're gonna actually support you, and that's the whole team, right? Boy, I really do got an upside down pear head. My sister used to say that, you got an upside down pear head. So I talked longer than I actually planned on, but that's something that I really wanted to share with you guys on these social media sites, is that music is really subjective. And it's heartbreaking to really think about that, because he's like, man, I'm good, I got this. Like, there's this cat, he heard my song, I'm not gonna, should I say it? Nah, because the video ain't even up, so it is what it is. But he's a phenomenal hip-hop artist, and what he heard my song, and he was like, you should either take vocal lessons or use auto-tune. And in my head, I was like, nigga, F you. I'm being transparent. I was like, nigga, F you. You're not even a singer to be saying that. But he did give me some golden nuggets. And I was like, all right. You know, he said, man, you recorded like it was like this because I had to learn how to mix. What if I learned how to mix better? You know what I'm saying? He probably wouldn't have said that. But the other thing, he was like, well, your voice is like this. It's like, well, you're not a singer. You don't understand. But again, music is subjective. If he's accustomed to hearing people with auto-tune all the time, of course he's not going to be like, he's not going to recognize what a vibrato is. You know what I'm saying? He's not going to really recognize what a run is because he's so used to hearing auto-tune. But again, music is subjective. So if we got people using all these different things, it's like if they use a natural voice, it's like, well, what is that? It's called a vibrato. Why are you bringing your voice like, why are you doing that for? It's called a crescendo. Why you bring your voice down like that? It's called a decrescendo. That's a decrescendo. Like, what? But if you don't know that, then you just like, oh, I like music. And I mean, we have a billion music lovers, but music is literally subjective. And even in the praise and worship arena, Rick Pino had talked about it, and I felt some type of way. I can talk about it because he talked about it publicly. He was talking about the difference between gospel music and pretty much Christian contemporary music. And it's like some people gravitate towards Christian contemporary music. Some people gravitate towards Christian, you know what I'm saying, as far as like gospel music, which is Christian contemporary. Technically, it's Christian contemporary. And it's like, well, is it all really the gospel when nobody's actually talking about the gospel? Anyway, but he was talking about the sound. The sounds are different. And it's like, no, it just goes back to music being subjective. I remember reading a book. I think it was called A Divine Revelation of Heaven. And in the book, the lady said, oh, I went to heaven and I heard Italian music. And I was like, man, okay. You're not going to tell me that that's all we're going to hear in heaven is Italian music. Shut up. But it was good. That's just her personal experience. That's what God wanted her to experience. And for me, when we think about what the word says in Revelation, how there was multiple people, and then with us being the Hebrew Israelites, right? Side note, we know that we created a plethora of genres of music, even classical music. Read about it. You'll be shocked. So, in any case, we got all that stuff going on. So I believe that there's going to be a multiple a multitude of sounds, a multitude of not just tongues, but a multitude of sounds that we're going to be hearing when we actually face Yahweh, when we face Yahweh, right? I didn't mean to get into that bag. I just really wanted to talk about how music is subjective, but we understand what music is. We understand that God is technically the creator of music, so he's so creative. There's probably some genres we ain't even heard of yet if we were to label it a genre, right? And then for God to create somebody that would have music inside of him, but then make us where music is inside of us, it's like, oh, the enemy really hates us. Satan, Hashatan, really hates us, right? Just as being humans, he hates us because it's like, what you made him with the same stuff I can do, and it looks like they can do other stuff too. Yeah, God made us dope. Ha! But in any case, music is subjective. But what I told the brother on Loom was, even though music is subjective and you got people clout chasing, and something that my homeboy said was, some people just want their preference to win. And it goes back into relationships. I'm not going to get into that bag because that's my bag as well. I enjoy talking about love. I enjoy talking about love. I enjoy talking about relationships. I got to fold those. I enjoy talking about love. I enjoy talking about relationships. I got a book called Why Love Was Created for a Relationship. Of course, I'm engaged. People probably was looking at me sideways for years. Well, you talking about love, you talking good, but what's up with you? Well, I just didn't find the right one and kept wasting time giving people the benefit of the doubt anyways. So it's all subjective. But what I told my man was continue bettering yourself, continue perfecting your craft, right? That's basically it. Paul, and I'm sorry if you guys didn't know, I'm actually a Christian. I'm a believer. Yes, historically speaking, I believe I'm a Hebrew Israelite, but as far as like my faith is concerned, it's based off of Christian faith. So you got the historical information, then you got the Christian faith, the name or whatever, and we understand that Hebrew Israelites were called Christians for mockery. People don't catch that. Anyways, I'm trying to get off my rant because I should have been done like 7 minutes ago. But what I told him was, perfect your craft. Paul was saying to stir up your gift, perfect your gift, the gifts that God has given you. Keep bettering yourself. You can compete against all these other people, or you can be better than you were yesterday. I've been singing since I was 4 years old. I've been writing music since technically I was like 13 years old. I've been producing since I was 15, and I'm 35 now. I'll be 36 this year. All right. I have a certain style or whatever, but I've been perfecting like my singing and just trying to get better over the years. I'm not like everybody else, like Brandy and Monica, who could be a low-key cousin. We'll find that out. But in any case, because her last name is Arnold. But shameless plug. But I don't know if that's true. But that is her last name. Just disregard that part. Anyways, they've been singing all their lives, but they had people come into their lives to actually start perfecting their gifts at an early age. Some of us don't have that same luxury, right? So you have to figure out, how can I perfect my gift in whatever stage of life I'm in? Something that my bishop, Nathaniel Holcomb, what he said was, it's something called the Shamgar principle. And I think that people saved and unsaved can actually apply this to their lives. Use what you got. Do what you can and start where you are. Use what you got. Do what you can and start where you are. So you may not be in the same position as other different people that you see, or that you're clout chasing for, or that you're like jockeying for their same position. You may not, but use what you got until you get blessed with more things to perfect your gift, right? Use what you got. Man, for years, when I first started making music, and this was in 2002. I started out making music, 2001. My friend Azariah, he gave me MTV Music Generator 1 for the PS1. He gave me that. He's like, man, I'm trying to figure this out. He's like, Gerard, you're a nerd, figure it out. I was like, all right. He's like, man, you do stuff with computers, man. You could probably figure this out. And I was like, all right. And I figured it out. I was like, yo, we can make music with this. We made beats, and then we would play the piano over the beats, and it was dope. And that was like Fruity Loop, before Fruity Loop came out. And then I got introduced to Free Loop in 2003 when I moved to Korea. Shout out to, I'll say his name publicly. Shout out to Vance. Vance is a DJ out in Houston, I think still. He's a phenomenal DJ, cool dude. Man, nice guy, man. He's a stand-up dude. Shout him out, man. You probably might be able to find him on IG. And I'm running over late, so I'm gonna end up closing this video out. But I almost gave up on FL Studio. I was like, bruh, I don't wanna make house music, or even though black people created it, but I don't wanna make like techno music. I wanna make R&B with this. And I literally gave up on it. I went and talked to Vance. I was like, what do I do? He was like, man, just da-da-da-da. And I was like, man, I don't wanna, I just didn't have a MIDI keyboard that can like, I just didn't have the right stuff I needed to play how I wanted to play things. I didn't have like a USB keyboard interface to plug into the computer, so when I played the keyboard, it'd actually play the notes. No, I had to use a regular typing keyboard and play my notes. And I was like, yo, this is so whack. And I had to use a mouse to click all my notes. And then eventually I got a keyboard to actually like do all that. But I started where I was at. I did what I could, right? I started where I was at. I did what I could, and I used what I had until I could get something better. Right? And that's what actually happened. Even with my songwriting, like I remember there was a point in time where I was singing, and in the background, I did all this talking, like, yeah, you did it, da, da, da. And this is while I was in the military, and one of my NCOs, she was like, the song is dope, but why is there all this talking going on? I was listening to a lot of hip hop. How like you would rap and then you say something in the background, yeah, get it? It's like, nah, bro, you ain't got to do all that. It's R&B, just sing the song, right? And I should know better, but you know, I had to perfect my gift. And so it was just years and years and years of, you know what I'm saying, dealing with stage fright and getting over that and perfecting my production and perfecting my lyricism and from differentiating between hip hop and like doing R&B, or even to doing a salsa or bachata, because I wrote songs like that where it had the vibe of R&B. It's a whole different thing. But that's just things to think about. Overall, music is subjective, but don't let it deter you from perfecting your gift. Don't let it deter you from creating good music. Just because people are clout chasing, just because people like this style of music or like this particular artist, it does not mean that you're actually whack. Or if you really ain't good, then you probably need to really perfect your gift. I remember years ago, a couple cats I know, one cat I'm a friend with, the other cat I know him through association. We were talking, and they was telling me about some random dude. They was like, yeah, yo, we went to this one place, and this dude was trying to rap, and they was like, yo, he really can't rap, yo, he's garbage. And I was like, and for me, I got offended, because they saw the dude rapping. They went to some event and saw him rapping, and he was like, yo, he's trash. And he's like, we told him to stop rapping. I was like, for me, I was like, man, the best thing you could probably do is tell this dude to work on your gift and get better. Think about what happened to him. If we look at the movie Green Mile, 8 Mile, we could see that Eminem was like, bruh, getting shunned by everybody except a couple of his homies, right? And then we found out later that they were part of D12 and stuff like that. And of course, he's best friends with Royce. And so, but he was getting shunned by everybody. You know what he did? I'm gonna perfect my gift. I'm gonna keep writing these freestyles. I'm gonna keep doing this. I'm gonna keep reading. I'm gonna keep this. I'm gonna keep working on battling. And yo, the dude is a white boy, but he's considered one of the best MCs in history. Why? Because he kept perfecting his gift. He kept getting better. He made a song called Rap God. Like, people got mad, but it was like, can you blame him? I can't. I really cannot blame the dude. Like, I get it. He perfected his gift. And that's something that can't nobody take from you, is you making yourself better. You can compete against all these other people if you want to for clout, or you can be a better you, like me, Gerard Kennedy. I can be a better Gerard Kennedy, right? Years ago, I wasn't that great of an artist in my perspective. I listened to my old music. I was like, yo, this is trash. I can do this better. I can do that better. I wish I could do this. And then some songs that I listened to, I went and redid them and was like, yo, I'm better than I was 4 years ago. I'm better than I was 5 years ago. I'm better than I was a decade ago. I'm competing against myself and making myself better. Now, all these other artists, am I listening to them and listening to their styles? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, oh, man. I wish I would have thought of that. Or, oh man, I did that idea 10 years ago. Maybe I can perfect that idea that these artists are using now, which actually happened. There was stuff I was coming at and stuff I was approaching a certain way years ago. I see people do it now. I was like, man, I was already doing that. Okay, I'm just gonna perfect that for my own sake as an artist, right? Perfect your gifts. Store up your gift to perfect it, to make it better than it was yesterday, right? That's something that I want you guys to deeply consider is use what you got. Do what you can. Start where you are until you get something better. Until you get better equipment, until you learn more things musically speaking, until you take vocal lessons, or until you just get more confident with your singing and your singing style. And another thing I want you to consider this. Constructive criticism. Not everybody that gives you criticism is going to be constructive. Some people are going to just try to tear you down just to tear you down. All right? And what I'm going to do, I'm going to end it like this. The young lady that battled Roxanne Shante, when she told me, stay in your lane, she didn't really realize what my lane was. She thought she knew what my lane was. I do hip hop. I do R&B. I'm an R&B artist, but I rap. Now look at how many hip hop artists are trying to sing. Because I was like, man, whatever. And my homeboys had to come. They were just like, yo, don't listen to her. Just keep bettering yourself. You're dope. Just keep bettering yourself. Just keep writing. And even to this day, in 2020, I still think about that thing, and I try my best to write as really good lyrics, right? Whether I'm rapping or whether I'm singing. Because what had happened later on was, it was another guy that was there, and I actually forgot his stage name. She turned to him right after she said that to me to stay in my lane, heard him rap and said, hey, can you ghostwrite for me? And I was like, but his lyrics actually aren't good. He just had swag about it. There was no bars, you know what I'm saying? Like, especially when she's from New York, I'm like, bars, yo, like, come on, you from New York, like, yeah, I mean, you already know. But we were at an era, that particular era was when, you know what I'm saying, the South was really doing their thing. And I listened to stuff like that, like your Outkast, even though they were really lyricists, your Ludacris, your T.I.s, like those were the type of artists I actually really gravitated to from the South. Like, I like those cats because they actually had bars. They had bars. So it was just something to like really consider. And so, but when she asked him to ghostwrite, I'm like, he ain't even doing music now. Like, he has other stuff going on, but I'm like, he ain't even writing now. I was like, but what if I listened to it? What if I gave up on that? You know how many times there's a lot of people that probably don't even like support me. And personally, I felt some type of way about it, but I was like, in the same breath, I was like, you know what? It doesn't matter because it's about the gift that God gave me and the people that I need to reach. The people that don't support me, all that basically means is that it's not meant for you. It's literally not meant for you. It doesn't matter what I write. It doesn't matter what approach I come at it, whether you like it or not. You probably just won't support because you won't support. Because it's like, I don't like how he looks. I don't want to. And the world is like that. But people in church are the same way. I don't like how he looks. I don't want to support that. Right? Or I don't like his sound. I don't want to support that. Okay, cool. It's not for you. You're missing out on something. But I do the same exact thing. Like, there's people, like, even on Loom, like, there's some people that follow me. I'm like, bruh, I'm just going to follow you because you follow me, but I don't like your music. I'm being transparent here. I'm being completely honest. Like, there's some people, I'm like, I don't like your music. The beat's dope, but I hate what you're saying. I don't like what you're saying because, especially being black, it's like, bro, like, look at where we're at, and y'all still talking about that? I ain't trying to hear that. Like, not even if you want some conscious, I mean, if you want some conscious stuff, I'm more likely to listen to it. But even if you had your style and was rapping your style, but was like, hey, yo, I'm trying to trying to get this cash, I'm trying to do something legal, trying to make this smash. You know what I'm saying? Like, that'd be like, okay, you're doing something different, but when you like still like lying in your lyrics, like some of y'all really ain't living the life y'all claim to be living. Like, I'm being transparent. Some of y'all ain't. Some of y'all really are not. And there's a plethora of like actual hip hop artists that y'all follow that actually aren't living the life that they rap about as well. There's only a handful of artists that actually did. You know who was one? Jay-Z. You know who was another one? The Clips. Both of them cats were out there slanging dope for real. You know what I'm saying? Like, you had these different artists that were actually living the life and talked about it in their lyrics. Some people actually were doing it. Like you had your Bobby Shmurda, like I think he's in prison. He actually was shooting people. I think Kodak Black, right, was doing the same thing. So he rapped about it in his lyrics. So you had people that were actually, like, some people was like, hey, this was my past, so I did my past. Some people like, no, I really did this yesterday. And it's like, whoa. But some of y'all ain't even living that life. Y'all, man, like, rap what you know. Shout out to my man, Lavalis Hamilton. He said this in a video years ago when he was a kid doing hip hop. And this is going back to music being subjective. And then you got to think about the people who's paying him to say this. Y'all want these record labels and stuff like that. You don't see a lot of people, at least black people, think about that. Y'all don't see a lot of us getting paid to talk about love, to talk about togetherness. And then the moment that we do, especially if they're on an actual label, somebody coming for their head. Why? Because you're not supposed to talk about that. We want these people to stay in perpetual slavery in their mind. Y'all ain't ready for all that. Music is subjective. So, but shout out to Lavalis Hamilton. He told this story, and he said it before a plethora of times. He said as a kid, when he started rapping, somebody told, I think it was his cousin, he said, hey, basically like, yo, you good, you nice, but you're not telling your truth. You're not telling your truth. So that's why, like, just be yourself, Sam. Or D-Smoke, like, these cats were just they were telling the truth. They were sharing their truths. And shout out to, Sam, be yourself. He's from Michigan. He's from D-Town. So, and I'm from Saginaw. So it's all love. I love that. So, but tell your truth. And so with Lavalis, his cousin was like, you need to tell your truth. He's like, you're a good artist, but tell your truth. It's like, you saying you got this and you got that, and nah, man, that ain't even you. I know you. Why are you doing that? Tell your truth. But it still goes back to music being subjective. So that's pretty much it, guys. I just wanted to get on my little soapbox, my proverbial, metaphorical, symbolical soapbox here, and just share that with you guys. That's it. Peace and God bless. Deuce.